Hey everyone, welcome to Sequence of Instructions. Thanks for joining me. In this video, we're going to finally look at this boilerplate that JSbin starts us with. We used the body in one of the previous videos, but we've largely avoided talking about what all this stuff is until today. So sit tight, you're going to learn some cool things. Let's start at the top. There's this doc type HTML. I want to preface this and everything else that we're going to cover in this video with the fact that HTML is pretty old. It's been around for many years. It's gone through many different standard changes. So some of the stuff you're going to learn, including this doc type, isn't strictly quote-unquote needed, but it does make your page more standardized. So with that said, this doc type basically just says what type of document you're going to be serving so the browser knows how to interpret the data. It's pretty simple to write. It looks like an opening tag. It has an exclamation point. It says doc type, and then it just says HTML. That just says we're serving you an HTML document. There's different things you can write here, but most of them are going to be just standards of HTML, and they don't really affect almost anything. The browser just cares that you're sending an HTML document. If you don't even have this, most browsers still don't care. They'll still assume it's HTML and interpret it accordingly. So not strictly needed, but nice to know anyway. Alright, after that we get to the fun stuff. You'll see there's one huge HTML tag. Huge as in it encompasses everything. Right? So all the content you might write is going to be inside this HTML tag. And HTML tags always have two children. They always have a head tag and they always have a body tag. The body tag is what we played with a little bit before. It basically has all the visible content. So here's a visible H1. It appears, that's not in H1, closing. It appears on the page. So if I want it to appear on the page, I got to put it in the body. If I put it up here, it's not going to appear on the page. This is for other stuff. This is for stuff we're going to learn about in a little bit. But yeah, all your visible content goes on the page. More visible, right? This is whenever we did any previous lessons, we basically assumed we were writing all of our HTML in the body. So body for visible stuff, head for not visible yet still important content. Okay, so that's the body. I'm not going to spend any more time on that. We kind of get it. We learned what you can do with visible content in the other videos. Let's talk about the head. The head is for things that don't appear on the page but are nevertheless important. So here JSbin starts you off with a title tag. A title tag is going to be what you see appear up here. Alright, so if I change this on a real web page, this title will be reflected up here. Oh, let's see, I can pop this out. Is it gonna? I don't know if JSbin actually respects. It appears to not. But anyway, yeah. So JSbin doesn't appear to actually respect the title tag, which is a little annoying. But that is what this is for. So this will appear as the title on in the browser's tab. So new name, it should say new name up here. When you're building your own websites, it will do that reliably. JSbin's just being a little funky. But that's title. There are these meta tags, which basically says what type of character set we're using. I don't want to get into this. This is another one of those that you don't even need. Same with this one. This is I'll use the meta. This is another meta tag. This one sets the property of the viewport. So meta tags always follow the pattern of, I guess not always, but most of them will follow the pattern of what meta property they're talking about, and then what the value of that meta property is. Another example of this will be, well, we'll get into that in a second. But okay, so the viewport one, it's important for mobile devices if you want to restrict the size on a mobile phone or something like that. You might set this, but otherwise I know most of the time I don't even set that one either. Ones that I will set will be meta, I'll set keywords, and again content. And this is sort of like, this is what old search engines used to use to index your site. So you'd say, yeah, my website relates to HTML, CSS, you comma separate them like this, actually no space, JavaScript, right? And you kind of describe what was important about your website in this keywords meta tag. And then so search engine bots that would hit your page would know how to index, quickly could determine how to index your website. So if people search for JavaScript, you'd be in the running, right? Because you say, yeah, I talk about JavaScript, so you'd get indexed with JavaScript. Search engines today, really advanced ones like Google, Bing, they don't, I mean, they probably do still look at this, but they don't, they'll determine what your webpage is about just by reading it. So they're pretty smart these days. So this isn't as important, but still good to have. Another one is description meta tag. And this similarly is used by search engines. I don't know if they still, I assume they still do. This is like what the call out will be when your page is on the search results page. If I search Google for like puppies, right, like this stuff would be the description. Again, I'm not sure if they still do that. This one looks like it could be. If you don't have it, again, Google will just try and figure it out from what your page is like. But anyway, yeah, these are two meta tags that I've used. There's others. I encourage you to look them up on your own, see if they're needed, important to your project. You definitely don't need any of these, but they add some spice to your website. Let's get into what the head is most often used for, is most important for, and that is libraries. You'll see this button up here. JSbin says add library. I think I might have done it in one of the other videos, not related to HTML and CSS, but just one of the other videos. That is really what the head is important for, is loading all of your external style sheets, JavaScript scripts, all that stuff. So in JSbin, it makes it easy. There's a CS tab, there's a JavaScript tab, right? In the real world, there's no tabs like this, right? You have to write all of your CSS in a separate file, you have to write your JavaScript in a separate file, and then you have to somehow tell your page where to get the CSS from, where to get the JavaScript from. And that's what the head is for. So loading these external resources. And let's just see an example of it. We'll load a couple. Let's load jQuery 3.0. That sounds good. You'll see it makes this tag for you, but if you're writing this on your own, you might have to write this tag yourself. It's pretty simple. It says this is some JavaScript script. It has a source, which is where you get this. So here, this one's hosted on some other website. We can go to this and see what it looks like. Yep, that looks like JavaScript. If you have your own JavaScript, like you wrote your own custom JavaScript as we would do in here, you'll be linking to a local file. So maybe it's in like your JS, and it's called index.js, right? You have some folder in your website called JavaScript, and you have your index.js in there, and you'll link to it. But anyway, the source is just a reference to that. Let me put this back. A reference to where the JavaScript file is that you want to include on your page. And that's script. That's pretty straightforward. You can also write JavaScript if you don't have a source. You can put JavaScript in here, right? So I could just, there, it's already alerting it, right? So you can, okay, I need to have it not do this. So you can write your own JavaScript between the source tags, but most common and what is considered good practice is to keep your, what happened to my cursor? Is to keep your JavaScript in separate files and load them via the source. I have to refresh this page. Okay. And load them via, why is it suddenly disappeared? Okay, it's back. And load them via the, load them via the source attribute, right? Okay, so we'll put jQuery back in, and let's look at another one. What about CSS? So this is good for JavaScript files, but how do you get your CSS files in here? Well, one of these that does have, whoops, Bootstrap. Bootstrap has JavaScript that it comes with, and also CSS. So here's our jQuery. These next three are going to be Bootstrap. So Bootstrap has, it uses jQuery, we don't need that. And then it has its own CSS and its own JavaScript files that it uses. So JavaScript is the script tag. CSS is going to be called the link tag. I do not know how this standard came about, but that's what it is. So script is going to be script, and source is your attribute. Link is going to be a link tag, and href is your attribute. Again, I don't know why they made these so inconsistent, but that's what they did. This, and the href then follows a link to the CSS file. CSS files end in .css. You'll then need two extra attributes. You'll say rel, which I guess means, I don't really know what it means, but that's style sheet, and the type is going to be text CSS. You probably don't need the type, but again, important to have it. Unlike JavaScript, if you don't have an href, you can't write your style sheet, or you can't write your styles in the tag because it is a self-closing tag. There's no closing link tag. Wow, my fingers are not doing well today. Link. It's not like this, right? Like the tag closes itself. It's like an image tag. But if you did want to write your own styles in here, there's a style tag you can use, like this. And I could say like body, background, blue, right? So you can write your own styles with a different tag called style, but I want to reiterate that it's good practice to keep your CSS all in its own file and separate, and then to just load it via this link tag. So link and script, that's really all the head is used for, is loading those external styles and external scripts. You can see here, just by loading this bootstrap, that our text had changed. Right, so here the style sheet is not loaded on our page. I put it in. Now it is loaded. We get prettier font. The spacing changed a little bit, etc. So that's proof that it's working. That's really all there is to head and body. I know I covered what seemed like kind of a lot, but really we're just looking at the head is used to load your scripts and your style sheets, and the body is used for your visible content. We talked about the title, which will appear in the Chrome tab, or if you're on Chrome, whatever, the website tab. But other than that, there's really not much to the head. We talked a little bit about libraries. I encourage you to check out. There's a ton of libraries out there to make developing websites easier, faster, more fun. So look into a lot of these are pretty complicated. Angular gets kind of complicated, but also a lot of these I haven't even heard of. So definitely a ton of stuff out there for you to check out and learn a little bit on your own. If you have any questions about things we covered in this video or any libraries you might see, feel free to leave a comment in the section below, and I'll happily get back to you. Until next time, take care. Bye.